The days that followed were heavy, like a sky waiting to break. In the village of Ndlovu, nothing was the same after that night by the river. The people spoke in low tones, the air carried both sorrow and shame. The chief's daughter, once the pride of her father, now walked beneath whispers. And though the elders said she had broken the sacred law, the river said nothing. The river only watched. Time moved slowly. The sun rose, the sun fell, and the seasons turned their endless circle. The grass grew high, then withered to dust. Amara's heart did not heal, but inside her, life stirred, quiet, persistent, alive. It was said that the ancestors had marked her, for her eyes no longer held fear, only something deep and distant. Her father, Chief Obeisai, ruled with silence. He spoke less to his people and not at all to his daughter. But each night, when the village slept, the old man sat by the fire, eyes fixed upon the flames. They said he saw faces in that fire, faces of the past, of choices made and things lost. The face of the foreign boy who had dared to love his child. The face of his daughter, who had defied him not with anger, but with love. Then came the harvest season, the time of plenty and of reckoning. A time when families brought offerings to the ancestors for rain, for fertility, for peace. But that year, the rains came late. The crops grew thin. And fear began to take root where faith once lived. The elders murmured that the land had turned away because of what had happened, because of Amara. One evening, when the drums of council called the people to gather beneath the great baobab, the air was thick with dust and unease. The chief was expected to speak, but when he did not rise, it was Amara who stepped forward. The crowd parted, whispering her name. She stood tall in the torchlight, her belly full with the child that carried two worlds within it. The people gasped, but her voice did not tremble. She spoke slowly, like the river itself, calm, deep, certain. She said that love was not a curse, but a bridge. That the ancestors did not curse the rain, fear did. And that what the people feared was not punishment, but change. Her words struck like fire in dry grass, spreading through silence, forcing ears to listen. Yet, not all hearts were softened. Among them stood her cousin, Nia, whose envy had long been shadowed by smiles. That night, bitterness guided her feet to the foreigners' camp beyond the forest. She spoke of the chief's daughter, of her unborn child, and of the shame the village carried. She asked for a reward, and when the soldiers gave her silver, the night itself seemed to shudder. Before dawn, boots struck the red earth. The sound of metal and command tore through the morning fog. The soldiers came with their voices raised and their rifles gleaming. They said they came for the child, that it would be proof of union, a symbol of progress. But the people saw the truth. They had come to claim what was never theirs. The village awoke to chaos. Men ran to defend their homes, women hid their children, the old ones prayed to the sky. And when the soldiers reached the chief's hut, Chief Obeisai rose from his mat like a storm made flesh. 4 years, he had bent himself to peace, to keeping balance with strangers who took more than they gave. But now, they had touched his blood. He stepped into the square, his staff in hand, his daughter behind him. The soldiers laughed at the sight of him, the old man with a stick before their guns. But they did not know that even a lion dying still carries thunder in its chest. He raised his staff high and spoke only once. "This blood, you will not touch." The crack of the gun came quick. A single sound that tore through sky and heart alike. When it ended, the chief lay still upon the red earth. His blood mixed with the dust, with the rain that had begun to fall. And all of Ndlovu cried out. Amara ran to him. She lifted his head in her hands, whispering his name, but his eyes were far away, still, but not empty. In his final breath, peace had come at last. The peace of a man who had seen the truth of love too late. He had feared it once. Now, it had freed him. But fate was not finished. The soldiers turned toward Amara, shouting, advancing, and then the earth began to move. The sky roared. The river rose. It was as if the ancestors themselves had woken from sleep. Thunder split the heavens. Wind screamed through the trees. The soldiers tried to run, but the ground beneath them turned to water. Amara stood still, her hair whipped by rain, her eyes fixed on the rising river. She clutched her father's staff, her voice lost to the storm. And then, with calm steps, she walked toward the water. Some say she walked into death. Others say she walked into destiny. When the wave swallowed her, the storm began to quiet. When dawn came, there was only silence. The soldiers were gone. The village lay in ruin. And by the river's edge, two lilies floated together, one red, one white. Mama Kinda, the old seer, found them and whispered. The river has taken them, but their story will live. Years passed. The world changed. The foreigners left, the fields grew green again, and the people rebuilt what was broken. But one day, a child appeared by the river, skin the color of dawn after rain, eyes like the meeting of sun and shadow. No one knew his mother, no one claimed his father. Some said he was born of the river. Others said the ancestors sent him to heal what had been wounded. Mama Kinda raised him, and he grew strong and gentle. He learned the ways of both silence and song. He carried no name of tribe or color, only truth. And when he became a man, he built a school beside the same river that had taken his mother. He taught the children of Ndlovu to read, to speak, to dream beyond the walls of the world. He told them that the river was not a border. It was a bridge. The people came to love him. When he spoke, they said they heard both his mother's courage and his father's heart. He became a man of peace, one who united rather than divided. And when the rains returned each year, he would walk to the river's edge, bow his head, and whisper. The river remembers. Some say that when he spoke those words, the lilies bloomed again, one red, one white, drifting together on the current. Some say that if you stand by that river today, at sunset, you can still hear the echo of a woman's song carried by the wind. It is soft and sorrowful, but full of love that never died. And so ends the tale of the chief's daughter and the white man's son, a story born of courage, pain, and the endless power of love. Some call it tragedy. Others call it destiny. But the elders say it is simply life, the dance between what was, what is, and what must be. If this story has touched your heart, let it stay with you. Let it remind you that love, true love, leaves echoes that even time cannot silence. Return again for more stories, for the ancestors still whisper through the wind. Until then, remember this. The river never forgets. Ancestral Whispers presents The Chief's Daughter and the White Man's Son. Dizzy subscribe, and let the stories of Africa live on.